Madden 23 is just a few short months out, and we've already started to get leaked news about the gameplay changes, and we've even seen some of the new animations and things that are going to be coming to the game via the motion capture company that does the animations for Madden. We know this year that they're changing up tackling, they're changing up passing, they're also still working to do better things with route running. They're trying to go a little bit more on the physics side finally after so many years where it seemed very animation dependent. So we're going to look at some of these animations from the company that does their animations and kind of get a feel for what's coming in the new game. And if you don't want to miss out on any of the Madden 23 news, it's going to be officially dropping pretty much any day now. Make sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon on so you don't miss the videos when they go live. So here we have some route running animations. Now, what's interesting here is they're doing, the same route over and over here, but it's different guys doing the routes. And I often see people ask, why don't they just get the actual NFL players to do it or get D1 athletes to do it? These are actually former NFL players. Some of them might even technically still be free agents. They're obviously not the top tier NFL guys. They're not guys that really lasted very long in the league, but they're still the top 1% of football players. They made it into the league. So I think that suffices when you're talking animations for a football game, because a lot of times, these big name athletes, they've got other stuff going on. They don't want to be bothered with motion capture and stuff like that. But you could see here the different styles of route running on a simple out route. Also, with the newer consoles, we've seen that they now actually take the actual real life route data from next gen stats to have the receivers running their routes more realistically anyway. So, you can see not every receiver is going to run an out route the exact same way, and you're kind of seeing that here. And I think that's still an area they can improve on, is having the routes and the releases be more realistic. They've gotten a little better with it over the years, and they're still working on it. Now here we're seeing a tackle animation. Now, again, some of these animations may look familiar. They may be, kind of redoing some of them or trying to touch them up and make them better. Tackling has been an area of Madden that past couple of years they've made some small strides to make it better, but it still has quite a ways to go because it's very animation and warping based. And they said this year that they are trying to give it a more physics feel. And it's an area that, other games have done better, and even older Madden games have done better. Even if you go back, 5-6 years, a lot of people I've been seeing lately, say that Madden 18 actually had good physics, but that game was also on the Frostbite engine. So I kind of think people might just be remembering it a little better than it was, because I think before Frostbite engine, I think that's what people seem to like more in terms of how the movement was. But this is a low tackle. I think this is something we don't see enough of in Madden. It seems like the AI likes to tackle high more times than not, and low tackles are such a big thing in the NFL now. So to see this, this looks like a nice animation to me. The question here is, how many different variations of this do they have? Because they're just showing one right here on their TikTok, but you want to see this type of tackle can be made so many different ways, and you don't want to just see the same tackle play out over and over, which has been a problem that's plagued Madden. So more low tackles definitely needed in the game. I like this hit right here. I just hope there's plenty variations and that the transitioning is smooth and not so much warping. We need more players moving independently and not kind of just sucking into just one unified animation, if that makes sense. Now here you're going to see kind of what I was just talking about with the high tackles, but right here it looks like this is motion capture of kind of a bigger back, a Derrick Henry, a Nick Chubb, those guys that get going downhill and they're hard to tackle. Now these are the type of animations that might aggravate us when we're playing. I know it does for me sometimes, the broken tackles, but realistically, a guy like a Derrick Henry or a Nick Chubb, this is what he does in the open field when he's going downhill. If somebody tries to not take a good angle, they try to tackle high, or they kind of just try to fling themselves onto them, they're going to get stiff-armed into the dirt, they're going to get trucked, they're going to bounce off of them. So while it is kind of annoying at times, especially when it seems a little predetermined, if you got a smaller guy, especially going at a big back, these are the type of animations I would expect to see. But again, I think with the previous one that we looked at, I definitely want to see more low tackles on these guys dropping to their knees, dropping to all fours to try to stop momentum. And that's just an area that we need to see work with for Madden. And I hope for 23 we're going to see that, where we're seeing the weight, size, and speed respected more. I think on the new consoles, especially last year, they made slight improvements there, but slight improvements when something is bad, doesn't always make the biggest difference. So they still need to keep trying to make strides there. Now here, we're seeing what I think is a crackback block from a receiver, but it's just kind of a defender here, maybe a linebacker, somebody, a safety, someone whose head's not on a swivel, and you got a wide receiver, maybe a bigger guy taking him out. Definitely something we see a lot. I mean, I've seen Cooper Kupp do this to people all the time. He's a great run blocker. Here, I'm honestly not sure what this is. It looks like it could be two different things. It looks like it could maybe be a linebacker taking out a running back with a hit stick who's coming through the hole, or it could look like the opposite. It could look like a running back that's taking out a free rusher, maybe a linebacker that's coming from the A gap. I'm not quite sure, but it definitely has a hit stick vibe to it. But we know from some of the leaked reports that they're trying to go more to a physics-based tackle system, and the hit stick is going to be a part of this, and how you can create some of these different tackles and get yourself into position and try to have these physics-based tackles. We don't know a lot about it, but we know that's something they're trying to do, and I just think an area that they could work on for sure with hit sticks in general and some of the big hits is that we're seeing a lot of ragdolls, which looks cool. You know, it's one of the things that made backbreaker tackling cool, the ragdoll physics, and in Madden, some of the ragdoll hit sticks do look cool, but at times I think we see them too much, and we see too many of the same big hits. We've been seeing the same hits for so many years. I think adding more variety and just also not having them all be ragdoll hits. You know, we saw that a lot in backbreaker, and even in Madden, it's kind of an area that can be more balanced. Not every big hit has to have a guy spinning and flying multiple yards. They can kind of just drop somebody where they stand, but it's still a big hit. But not really sure which side of the ball this animation is for, but it definitely looks like it could be something that goes along with the new system they're trying to implement for Madden 23. Here's an interesting one, which is a mid-air collision on a catch, which is funny because I think most of us that play Madden knows that like 99% of the time, this is a drop for the receiver. Anytime a receiver gets hit, he does not hang on to the ball, and that's another area that needs more balance. I think last year, they definitely made some small strides there where they reduced the number of two-man animations, which is like a defender and a receiver kind of morphing together in an animation. Sometimes they look cool, sometimes they look really bad, but when they morph together and don't work independently, it causes a lot of bad outcomes, and they definitely reduced those and allowed them to move a little more independently. And this looks like, you know, it could be either or. It's kind of hard to tell, but this is an animation where it looks like the receiver's actually catching the ball, which is something I think needs more balance. These good receivers can hold on to the ball after taking a hit like this, but again, want to see more variety. This is just one example. If it's the only one we're going to see, then it gets old very quickly. But you know, it looks like a defender coming from outside to kind of make a good play on the guy catching the ball. So interesting to see how that could play out in game. Here's an absolutely ridiculous one. This I do not believe is for the actual game. This is probably something for the yard game mode, which would make sense, or maybe Superstar KO, which is a much more over the top and much more arcadey. You know, I know people think Madden, you know, kind of as a whole has an arcade vibe, which it kind of does, but you know, the yard and modes like that definitely take it even a step further. I don't see that this would be something for the regular game. I was even looking in the comments of this TikTok post, and a lot of people were saying that this is something like for the yard, which makes sense because the yard's supposed to be funny and over the top and have crazy stuff. No NFL player would try to tackle like this. Like, it's just ridiculous, but it is something that was motion captured, so I wanted to put it in here just so you could see maybe if you play those modes, you know, maybe this is something you see in there. And then here's just kind of a funny one, the gritty. People have been asking about this for over a year now. It's not really something that makes the quality of the game better or anything like that, but it is the most used celebration in football right now. I mean, this is about as normal as seeing somebody spike the ball at this point, so this really should have been in the game last year for how popular it was. I really don't understand how it didn't get in the game last year. I mean, it's been in games like Fortnite already, you know, much earlier on. So that's it for this video. Check out this video right here if you want to find out all of the leaked information that we know so far about Madden 23.